So I started getting into electric guitar in the 70s. We had MXR and Electro Harmonix were kind of the big companies. And I always liked the MXR pedals because of their elegant simplicity. The sounds they had were more like your actual guitar sounds, which I really liked to get. So I got a call from George Trips, who went from Way Huge to Line 6, and now he's the head designer at Dunlop MXR. And he contacted me and said, you know, we'd like to kind of get you on our guest designer project. And I got to meet some of the guys at Dunlop, and I figured it was just a huge factory thing, but it's more of a small, kind of a family business, even to this day. It's closer to my business, I think, than, you know, a huge conglomeration. And I know they had good quality, and we're coming from the same ideas of what we really want our product to be. It ended up working out very well. So the King of Tone started back in the very early 90s. I was doing the pedal thing on the side at that time and decided, let's move here. I moved to this very building, and I worked on this very bench myself as one employee, doing pedal mods myself and building pedals. So we first checked out the Marshall Bluesbreaker, put better parts in it. We liked it. I came up with my own version, but I wanted it to be a little fancier than just a 3-knob, 1-switch pedal. So I added a switch to add another volume knob. And in addition to that, each of the different volume settings could have one of 3 different clipping options, the clean boost mode, or the overdrive mode, or the distortion modes. So we came out with another version which had separate volume, drive, and tone knobs for each of the 2 settings. Also, we added a treble trim pot inside, so you can add some more high-end. So the Prince of Tone is pretty much the same as the King of Tone with the high-gain option, which I prefer. And these had done very well, but still, they're pretty small production. The Duke of Tone is pretty much the same as the Prince of Tone, although it doesn't have a few of the dip switch options inside, but it has the same 3 modes, the overdrive, boost, and distortion mode. So the clean mode, which is pretty much identical between all 3 because you're not using any clipping diodes. It's using kind of an op-amp clipping, and they are all using the same op-amps. Overdrive mode uses the diodes that we carefully chose for these. But now in distortion mode, the King of Tone is okay. Prince of Tone has a much better, thicker distortion sound, and the Duke of Tone has that same sound. So it has the internal treble trim pot in there. Some people, especially with a darker amp, you might want to add a little bit of sparkle to it with that. So the 3 modes we have in toggle position in the middle mode is your boost mode, and boosts your signal nicely. It doesn't give it too much distortion. Of course, it has very touch sensitive. Overdrive mode, you'll lose a little bit of volume from the clipping. Still touch sensitive. Not quite as clean. Definitely cleaner in the boost mode, but overdrive mode still has a nice clean. Then for a little more, you go to the distortion mode. Especially if you crank up the drive knob, you can get a pretty good amount of distortion. And since the Duke of Tone is identical to the Prince of Tone as far as the 3 modes, you can stack 2 Duke of Tones in a row and get a King of Tone with toggles on either side, which gives you more flexibility. So in order to compare 2 things, you really need to have a box to switch them immediately rather than turning one on and one off. I've compared these for I don't know how many hours, and I've been able to dial them in pretty much identical. So you just hit a chord. If you listen for the low end, you can see which one is louder. Now, they sound about identical now. That's our overdrive mode. Then you can compare the distortion mode. Crank up the drive knob. When I was contacted by Dunlop for a collaboration, I drew out the schematic for the how I wanted the Duke of Tone to be. They listened to me, and they used pretty much all the parts I wanted. I don't think they ever said no. So I was really glad that all of the components that are used for audio are full-size, good-sounding through-hole parts, audio quality parts. And I tested them very carefully and made sure that they're the same sound. These are actually high-quality WIMA caps, W-I-M-A. A lot of the boutique builders use the WIMA caps. One thing Analog Man is kind of known for using carbon composition resistors in our modifications and in some of our pedals. A lot of people think it's snake oil, but if you use them in the right positions, you can get a really nice warm sound. But it's basically the capacitors, diodes, and chip that make the tone. We have true bypass in all of our pedals because I want your signal to stay as pure as you can. The Duke of Tone uses a smaller switch because it's small, so it's true bypass plus an LED with only a dual pole switch by using a little bit of magic. I was very happy working with them. The reason being to get these out to the stores because we don't really have our pedals, especially these two, the King of Tone and Prince of Tone, we don't have them in any stores because we can't make them fast enough for our normal customers. And I thought it'd be great to get these in dealers all over the world with the same basic sounds, a nice small compact size, and the tone is all there. You don't need to have something big to have good tone.